And talking of textiles, this naturally leads to weaving and to James Donald, whose practice embodies basically the patient rhythm of his craft. And through Pick One, his studio, he works with local fibres and traditional skills to create contemporary woven pieces, which we will see, that speak both heritage and innovation at the same time through where he's been, where he's going, his travels, and what's informing his work. And as an educator, he's expanding this knowledge outward by building a community of learners, including me way back when, and keeping craftsmanship accessible, open, and involving. So really, I wouldn't be doing what I'm doing had I not met James along the way as well, which has really helped me inform what I'm doing with Future Vintage, with our Shetland wool. So I'd like to introduce the wonderful James Donald, who's going to talk to us about what his work and his work teaching people. He's an educator at heart as well. Welcome.
Hi, can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
Yeah, the tech's working. That was really interesting to hear Susan's talk because I actually lived in Iona for a year back in the 90s, working with Iona community. And really, that's where I kind of started my interest in teaching and demonstrating and just watching people learn. So that was quite exciting to be there for that year. I'm going to start off by showing a wee video. I hope that's okay. Don't want to sit. Don't want to sit. Good boy. You're going to spin. Yeah. Good boy. Sit. High five. Good boy. Yeah, you're a very good boy. Come on then. Let's go this way. Let's go this way. With the weaving that I do, that can't really be replicated through mass production. I think mass production kind of irons out all those fine nuances that the handmade mark makes. We're kind of a victim of that because of this fast fashion, things moving at a pace, and what I do and what other makers do, it's a very slow process in moving forward. When you're buying something from someone who's making pieces, one at a time, you're getting a very unique product. You're getting a bit of them, a bit of their story. Merino lamb's wool is kind of my favourite material to use just because of the colour. You can felt it, you can manipulate it to a certain extent to kind of make it breathe a bit more, make it come to life, and it's just a glorious product to use. I mean, it has a life. You're so grumpy. So grumpy. Look, he's just been friendly. And you're not. There is a Japanese philosophy of weaving called Zayori weaving or Zanshi weaving. And both of them, well, Zanshi is about using your leftovers to make something beautiful or weave something beautiful. And Zayori is just, there's no rules, it's just all about odds and sods. Well, this has been on the loom now for, oh my gosh, about 3 months. So, but that's all to do with the sampling. So now that it's all working, I can just kind of go for it. Go for it in a very meditative, slow way, which I'm really enjoying, I have to say. And I'm not in a hurry. It will happen, it will work. It is working.
Finally had some time to sit around and settle down and think about my life. I must admit I don't know what comes next, what to expect, but wanna get it right. I just wanna be happy, happy with me. Oh, 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 oh. 35 summer years ago, you left your world to make a new home in this new place. Yeah. Dad and Mom, you sure are brave to let it all go and pave your own way. So I hope you're happy, happy with me. Oh, 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 oh. Me, oh, 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 oh.
Okay, that was a wee film that I made to promote my practice. It was kind of filmed a few years ago now, just after we came out of lockdown, and my work's kind of developed since then. And I've got some examples around me. Lindsay said it was okay to kind of show them. My work still kind of still continues to be influenced by Japanese textiles, and at the minute I'm kind of developing this technique that I feel's got kind of more of sophisticated marks in it. So I'm kind of looking at sashiko stitching, and I've developed a way of weaving stitched marks into the actual fabric as I go. So I'm not kind of stitching, I'm not stitching it after it's been woven, I'm weaving the stitches in. And what I'm enjoying about this technique is that you get like a front and you get a back. So I hope you can see that. And these pieces are so brand new that I haven't even had time to photograph them yet. So they're like hot off the loom, so to speak. So I've got some other examples around me. So that film, I'm just kind of showing you what I'm doing at the minute, kind of gives you a snapshot of where I'm at the moment with my own personal practice. So I'm still weaving, I'm still doing my own work, and that's never going to change. I'm always going to kind of fit that in around the teaching. So just to kind of give you a bit of background, I taught at mainstream art schools for 18 years. And I kind of taught at HNC, HND level, as well as degree level, and on some master's programs, all in Dundee. And then in 2013, I decided to take voluntary severance to kind of step away from the teaching because it was becoming all consuming and there was cutbacks and we were being controlled by management and it was just becoming really, really tricky and challenging. So I did that for 18 years, took voluntary severance in 2013 to concentrate on my own practice, which I'd been doing actually since 1997. So I set up Pick One in 1997. And part of that practice was about doing direct selling events and trade shows in New York, San Francisco, and Japan. So kind of hence my kind of Japanesey influences. And that kind of continues to this day, really. So like I said, I took voluntary severance in 2013, and then I was kind of quick to realize that I missed the contact that I had with the learners and the students. I mean, it was utterly fantastic to be free of management and to be really, really my own boss. So that was fantastic. But I did actually miss all the contact with the students. And while I was teaching, I'd kind of set up weekend weave classes as an introduction to people wanting to learn to weave. And I'd been doing that since, oh gosh, early 2000s. And then that kind of continued. And then I also kind of realized that the students that were coming to the weekend classes, they had nowhere to go. I mean, I don't know if you know, in Scotland, that a lot of the courses that did teach weaving have all closed down. And there's very few places now where students can go to learn weaving. So the course that I studied at Duncan Jordanson College of Art, it no longer exists. So there was a real need, that, from what I could tell, that people were wanting to learn to weave and actually progress from doing the introductory classes that I'd kind of already established. So part of me taking voluntary severance was I kind of saw an opportunity to get students to progress. So what I then started to, I developed like an evening class, and we used bigger looms, wider looms, which meant that students could actually tackle more challenging and technical kind of weave structure. So the weekend classes, we started off with 4-shaft looms. We've progressed to 8-shaft to 16-shaft looms, all table looms. And yeah, so those kind of expanded. So it was a Thursday night, then I did a Tuesday night, and then after lockdown, I then started to develop a day class. So that was kind of accessing another group of people who couldn't maybe come to an evening class, but they could come to day class. So that was great. Now, like I said, I've got my Monday day class, my Tuesday night, my Thursday night, and then I still do the introductory class of one weekend a month. And I've got approximately 20 students a week that kind of come through the space. And the students come from a really rich and dynamic kind of background of, well, there's a real diversity there amongst the students. So I've got CEOs that come along. I've got students. I've got a lot of doctors at the minute, a lot of GPs that come. I've got engineers, architects. I've even got like a prison service social worker that comes along. He comes along 3 times a week. And, you know, there's a real kind of mix of occupations, and that kind of group of people, they've kind of started to create this community of weavers and learners, which, if I'm being completely and utterly honest with you, is not something that I set out to do to begin with, but that's what it's become. And it's become I think, a really beautiful thing. It's actually quite a moving thing. More so since we came out of lockdown. I think there was a real need for people to kind of reconnect with their hands, with making. And in the film, actually, I kind of talk a little bit about doing slow activities and being mindful. And the classes have become a real comfort to quite a lot of people. So I've got students that come along with, and I don't know what they are, but I do know that some students come along because they've got mental health issues. And coming along to the class is really, really good and enriching for their mental health. And it's kind of helped them to calm down, to take stock, to think. It gives them space to think. And I actually get quite moved when I think about it, the kind of relationships that have kind of built up amongst the students through learning, through me teaching them to weave, through me attempting to guide them through the weaving process and understand the more complex aspects of weaving. I've kind of noticed that there's a real connection amongst the students. And it's actually become, like I said, I get quite moved by it, because there's a couple of students that came to me shortly after lockdown, and women, and their husbands had recently died. And they very quickly realized that they had a connection together. They had this kind of shared experiences, which were quite recent. So they used to come to class and they say, oh, we met up for coffee, and oh, we went to the V&A in Dundee to see this exhibition. And then they've just come back from a 3-week textile tour of Bhutan. I mean, it's kind of jaw-dropping that I've kind of facilitated that, and I never really intended that to happen, but it's become a really joyous thing. And I've got an architect who comes along, she's Colombian, And she started to hook up with some of the older students, and she goes off to learn to knit, and they're teaching her to knit. So there's these wee hubs of activity that happen out with the Pick One studio, and they come back and they tell me, and it's one student actually moved house recently, and all the other students chipped in and helped her move all her belongings, and so there's a real kind of community. And the students, the other thing that I have to say is that since lockdown, the students don't tend to go away. They keep coming back again and again and again. And at the moment, I've got about 35 looms, and the only thing that's stopping me doing more is space and looms. I mean, I've gone from one studio to two studios to three studios, and then we knocked a wall down to make the two studios into one big super studio. And I'd like to do more. I feel I can do more. And the students would like to do more, but I can't because of the lack of space. So there's a real kind of, well, yeah, it's just something to work with. It's just something to work with because the more looms I buy, the more space I need. And it's kind of reached a ceiling at the moment. So I'm not quite sure how that's going to progress. But the students keep coming back, and they're not going away. So really, that's it. That's my little story. Is that all right, Lindsay? And Lindsay was one of my students back in the early days and came back.
I,
Oh, is it?
James, I think, yeah, I honestly, it's fabulous. This is exactly what you do. You inspire people. You are the most patient person any of us have ever met. Uh,
Well, I get that. I get that quite a lot, but I don't understand why one would be shouty or angry about teaching. It's like we all learn in different ways and we all move at different speeds. And I'm really, really happy to accommodate that. And it's just for me, it's an absolute joy to see people progress from start to finish. And I don't, what I've started to do on my Instagram page is I kind of record the cutting off of the students' projects, and we get the golden scissors out, and it's a real moment. And I think it's a real moment to kind of celebrate them and celebrate their achievement of kind of completing because and also when I'm teaching, I never use the E word, and that is easy. I mean, it's all quite challenging, but they all do it. They all do it, and it's just fantastic.
Well, I think honestly, I mean, as far as whenever I speak of you, I just say you're teaching Scotland to weave. I mean, and you really are. I don't know how many people you must have had through there since I first met you, who then go off and buy their own loom, who then go
Yeah, yeah,
take it who then return to you for more complicated weave structure tuition, and who just then take it from there. What the
yeah.
job you're doing, as well alongside your own work, is phenomenal, and I take my hat off to you. And I think we've all really benefited from having you do this and taking your severance and putting yourself out there for the community and for us to learn from. And I think, I'm sure Lee and Philip will say to you, but as you've been speaking, there have been, so many messages coming up about you need to talk to this person and can you come and talk here and can you, I mean,
Oh, nice.
yeah, so people are, what you're doing is really important and interesting to the wider community. And
Well, yeah, but I think it's become quite big because it was about teaching people to weave, but it's just grown and grown and grown, and I've kind of embraced that. And it wasn't something I was aware until we came out of lockdown, and people keep coming back.
well, I'm really pleased they are. So no, that's, I think, absolutely fabulous. And thank you so much, James, for coming and doing this. And
You're very welcome.
Jim,
and I think
Jim,
very good.
James, I really loved the loom hitting the ceiling. Is said then my last loom was hitting the ceiling,
Oh,
and I imagined this enormous loom.
Oh,
Very,
yes.
yeah.
it's very interesting what you do, and yeah, the empathy is so the most important recipe, and that is for your family, for your friends, for your dog, for the nature, for the sheep, for everything, and we can feel that. And then you love, of course, for Japanese fabrics. Philip and me, we share for sure, but I think I know many people who are very emotive about Japanese textiles. So thank you so much.
You're very welcome. Thank you for having me. Thank you.
Thank you, James.